We're going to be talking all about how to power up for your exam month and go over about 5 different strategies to really tap into peak performance. So today's objectives are to actively review using strategies tailored to your learning style and examination, to fuel your brain with foods that enhance focus and memory, to get moving to boost cognitive function and energy. Mindset matters. It's important to build a positive, empowered approach to your exam month. And then 5 is to rest so we can recharge and ensure our brains are functioning optimally. So when we talk about active review as the first step, there are many aspects to this active review. And the first aspect is when we are in our exam month, everything that we should be doing should be in exam type conditions as much as possible. So we're timing ourselves. If your exam is written, you're using pen and paper. If your exam is on the computer, then you're doing more digital type of quizzes to help yourself. It's an auditory exam. You're doing as many auditory mock exams that you can do with your fellow peers or a coach or somebody along those lines. But to dive into even deeper into actively review itself, first, you need to make sure you're reviewing in your brain's learning type, whether you're mixed or an auditory learner, a visual learner, a kinesthetic learner, whatever it is, it's really important to make sure that you're really tapping into the way your brain works. The second thing that's really important to tap into is to make sure that you're blending all of your topics together. A lot of people still have their review months or review weeks, whatever it is for your certain syllabus, where you're still only focusing on one topic per week or one topic every few days. And that still keeps your brain in this disjointed way of retrieving and accessing and retaining information. And so it's really important that we're doing a full blend for this month if your exam is this month. So that means you're not just going, okay, I studied Bordeaux today, I studied Germany tomorrow, I studied California the next day. It is every single day you are studying the entire world to put your brain in the most exam-like conditions as possible. Because when your exam comes, you don't get pockets of questions. It's all bouncing around all over the world. And the more you can train your brain to retrieve information from South America and then Europe and then North America and then Australia and retrieve your brain to have this agility, it makes the exam process that much more simple because your brain is already agile to be able to flip back and forth between different topics. And then the next really important part of this, when you're blending topics together, is that you are either being asked or asking yourself very critical thinking focused questions. And this would be questions like, why do we do vertical chute positioning in Napa Valley? Why do we have Gobelets training in Chateauneuf-du-Pape? Why is Torrontés so well suited to Salta in Argentina? And asking yourself these why and analytical type of questions, this makes your brain have to retrieve things in multiple different ways and bring an answer together. So when we're doing our active review, just to recap, we want to mimic the exam as much as possible. We want to review the way our brain learns the best with whatever methodology that is. We want to be blending topics together. We want to be asking ourselves critical thinking, analytical focused questions. And then the last thing on there that we want to be doing is really making sure that we're focusing on, oh, my brain just went, yoop. I heard the waves go and my brain just went, nope, we're going to relax instead. I'll come back to that thought. It's going to come back to me in a minute. So mimicking the exam, blending the topics together, all of that critical analysis type of thinking, and putting yourself in the most exam-like conditions that you possibly can. Next is making sure that we're fueling our brain adequately. And there are quite a few different ways we can fuel our brain. If you aren't already aware, I'm a board certified health and wellness coach. I'm also a certified nutrition coach. And I really like to dive in on exam month the things that we can be doing outside of studying that are the best things possible for our brain to be functioning optimally. So that first slide, our first focus, our first strategy of actively reviewing is the only thing today we're going to be talking about that is study specific. Now we're going to dive into all of the things that are outside of studying that are going to help our brain be as functional as possible. So the first is to make sure we're really fueling our brain. And the first way we can do that is with really healthy fats. Our brain thrives on having healthy fats. And if you don't eat a lot of healthy fats, which would be like salmon or olives or eggs or avocado or nuts or seeds, if this isn't something that's commonly in your diet, then I'd recommend getting an omega-3 supplement and making sure you're taking, for women, 1,100 milligrams a day, and for men, 1,800 milligrams per day. If you're like, I don't really know any omega-3 supplements, my favorite brand, I have no affiliation whatsoever with them, but my favorite brand is called Metagenics. And you can get it on Amazon or typically in your supplement provider type of like Discount Nutrition or whatever you have in your location. The next is antioxidants. So our brain oxidizes just like a glass of wine oxidizes, or an apple oxidizes, or an avocado oxidizes. So the more antioxidant things that we can eat, the better. And as crazy as this is to hear, alcohol actually oxidizes our brain. So if you can substitute alcohol for something else for this month, as long as you're not, having to worry about tasting practice this month, I would recommend just going dry until your exam and letting your brain just really function as optimally as possible. So when I say antioxidants, what does this mean? This means a multitude of different fruits. Pretty much all berries that you can think of are antioxidants. Pomegranate seeds, nuts, seeds, dark chocolate. This would be over 80% dark chocolate with no sugar added. Anything like garlic, onions, lots of citrus would be another one. You think when we want to have guacamole not turn, we put lime on it. Same thing with lemon. Citrus is a great antioxidant as well. So something that you could do is start your day. Hydration is really important. So start your day every day with a big glass of water with a bunch of lemon in it. And that would be a really easy, simple thing that you could start adding into your routine this week, this month, before your exam, just to give your brain a little extra boost. Our brain uses about 30% of the energy from our entire body. So it's really important that we're feeding it as well as we can. And the few foods that it enjoys the most, it utilizes the most, is glucose. And when we think about wine, we think about glucose being sugar. When we think about sake, glucose comes from sugar, which comes from starch. Same thing for food, sugar comes from starch. And when we want to have quality starches in our diet, so this would be complex carbohydrates. If you haven't heard of that before, this would be instead of going for a white bread, you're going for either a legitimately made fresh sourdough bread or a whole grain bread. Instead of white potatoes, you're going for sweet potatoes. Instead of white rice, you're going for brown rice or wild rice, like a forbidden rice or a red rice, or something that still has the majority of the bran on the outside of the grain, because that's where all the nutrition is. That's where all the fiber is. Basically, the whole point of this is to have a higher fiber diet, because fiber is what supplements our gut health. And our gut is our second brain, and our gut helps all of the hormones in our brain to be able to function optimally. So when we have a high fiber diet, this would be for women over 25 grams per day, for men over 35 grams per day, along with antioxidants and healthy fats. This is really optimal for our brain and just giving it the fuel that it needs. Next is if you are a caffeine drinker for this month, I would encourage you to switch from coffee to green tea. Coffee is a little bit of an antioxidant, but what really is the optimal antioxidant, especially when it comes to the caffeine type itself, is green tea. Green tea is really, really great for our brain. So think about exam day. What should I eat on exam day? For sure, you should have breakfast. A really healthy meal at least 2 hours before your exam is ideal. These would be two great options here. You could do an avocado toast on whole grain bread with your egg of choice, and then a little bit of seeds, chia seeds, or whatever you'd like over top. You could do a whole grain bagel with egg and salmon and a little bit of um, cream cheese or whatever specific dairy fat that you enjoy. If you're not a dairy person, you could put hummus on that or avocado on that. Anything that is more healthy fat focused. So hummus, avocado, anything in that realm is going to be delicious. And then I like to say you should have a little bit of a power snack before. Oh, and I left it over here, but at least it's on the screen. This power snack is something that I really enjoy. This brand itself is one of my favorites. Doesn't mean I have no affiliation with them. You can choose whatever brand you want. But this brand has pistachios, pumpkin seeds, a little bit of peanuts, dried cranberries, dried edamame. It's a good bit of protein in this little snack mix. And then that's very brain healthy focused foods with even antioxidants on top of that as well. So this would be a good snack to have while you're in your waiting room, waiting to get called into your exam. Or if you just need a little snack break, this is good to give a little recharge to your brain. Step 3 is to get moving. And get moving means a multitude of different things, but the biggest important aspect of getting moving is getting your blood flowing. The more we can get our blood flowing to our brain, the better, the more optimal. We need a lot of hydration, a lot of nutrition, and a lot of blood flow to our brain for it to be able to function optimally. So you can do this in a multitude of different ways. You can go for a walk. If you're on a beach like me, you can go walk on the beach. You can just go walk around your neighborhood. You could go walk on a track at the gym. You could go walk on a treadmill. You could do any realm of walking that you would like. This is, if you can get into your zone 2, which would be, everybody's a little bit different, but kind of anywhere between 100 and 120 beats per minute if you have a tracker on. This is a really good, healthy pace to be at. So you're giving your brain exactly what it needs. It also helps with some mitochondrial health, which is our energy powerhouse, and it gives us extra energy, which then is going to fuel our brain even more. This could be going to a yoga class. It could be going to lift weights at the gym. It could be going for a run. It could be going for a bike ride. It could be anything you really want it to be. This also could be stretching. And one of the most simple things that you can do to help blood flow to your brain is get your brain lower than your hips. And so you can see here's 3 different ways you can do that. You can just go forward like you're reaching for your toes. If you're not super flexible, like the first picture there, that's okay. You're still getting your brain below your hips, especially if you can like point your head down rather than your eyes facing the ground. That helps even more, get some blood flow to your head. You can be, if you're really flexible, you can do any of these. You can also just bend your knees so you can get your head down a little bit further. If you're really talented, you can do a handstand, you can do a back bend, you can do lots of different things. But in general, getting your head below your brain is really, really optimal. So just so you guys can see the difference of how your brain functions, I want everybody to stand up with me, and we're just going to bend over and get our brain below our hips. And we're just going to do this for a couple seconds, like 30 seconds or so, and just see how different your brain feels. So go ahead and just let your head dangle, let your arms dangle. Don't hold your head up, just let your head nice and relax. Feel the blood flow coming to your head. Just breathe. If you can hear the waves behind me, just think about the waves, breathe with them. Take a couple more breaths. You probably feel that blood flow coming to your brain. Let's take a couple deep breaths. Inhale to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then very slowly start to come up. Don't come up too fast because you did have all that blood flow coming to your brain. You don't want to come up too fast because then you get a little lightheaded. But you might notice you feel different. You feel more blood flow going to so much blood flow, I can't speak. So you feel the blood flowing to your brain. You can almost feel like a little extra surge or a little bit of extra energy in your brain. And so this can even be during your review times, during your study times, during your exam itself. Just get up, breathe, put your head below your hips for even just 30 seconds. It's going to really help your brain be functioning as optimally as possible. Number 4 is mindset matters. It's really, really important to reduce stress. And you might even notice just that blood flow to your brain maybe gave you more of a sense of calm. Hearing the waves behind me, maybe that gives you a sense of calm if you can hear them. Having some wind blowing gives you a sense of calm. It's a matter of just really trying to get centered and breathe and relax and reduce your stress, because as we all know, exams can be very, very stressful. We'll dive more into stress reduction techniques and even more stuff in our workshop coming up in week 3 of this month. But this is just a little touch into that. So the first would be to create an affirmation for yourself. And everybody's affirmation is going to sound different. It's going to look different. It's really meant to be as specific to you as possible. The affirmation be I am is the first start to your affirmation. And then you're going to say something that is in either conjunction or after your exam. I am successfully an advanced sommelier. I am now a master sommelier. I am now a master of wine. I am now a certified sommelier. It could be something as simple as that. If you're like, I don't really know what to say. And with this, it doesn't have to be true in the moment. But if it's something you want to be true, you can start saying that to yourself, and it helps your brain start to think of pathways to be able to make it true. It's kind of crazy when you think about how powerful the brain is. If you've ever been driving on the road and you heard about this car, you've never really seen it or heard of it before, or a certain color. Let's use the Tesla truck, for instance. Someone keeps talking about the Tesla truck and you're like, interesting, I've never really seen any of the Tesla trucks. And then you are out driving the next day and then you see 5 Tesla trucks and you're like, what on earth? How am I seeing all these Tesla trucks? I've never noticed them before. And it's because your brain just wasn't programmed to see them. They were still there. They were still doing the same path you were, but you just happened to be more tuned to see them because you're thinking about them. So you see them. And that's going to be the same case when it comes to affirmations as a whole. And this is something that took me a long time to get on board with. I was very, very resistant to affirmations until I learned the science behind it. There's so much neuroplasticity and so much neural pathway reprogramming that affirmations do. I'm not going to dive into the science today just because we only have a limited amount of time. But if you're ever like, no, affirmations are woo-woo, I don't think that matters, I don't think it's doing anything, I don't understand the purpose of it, I highly recommend looking up neuroplasticity and reprogramming neural pathways with affirmations, and you'll really see a big difference. Next is visualizing. So while you're brushing your teeth, visualize yourself walking into that exam, walking into the room, seeing whoever is next to you or in front of you or beside you, and the computer you're going to be sitting at, or the desk you're going to be sitting at, or the hotel room that you're going to be walking in. Visualize yourself sitting down at that exam. Visualize yourself looking at the screen or looking at the people or looking at the piece of paper and seeing the questions and knowing the answers to the questions. And really believe that you will do well in that exam, and visualize yourself doing well in that exam, and visualize yourself getting to the last page of that exam or the last question of that exam and just feeling so proud of yourself for all the work that you put in, and that you know you really did everything you could and you did the best that you could in that moment. And visualize yourself getting the results, and the results are the results that you are hoping for and the results that you are desiring. And the more you can visualize yourself doing that, in my opinion, the easiest way to do it is while you're brushing your teeth, because we brush our teeth every morning and every night, some people more than that. And it gives you a way to really just start to program your brain to see yourself being successful. And it feels funny in the beginning. Affirmations feel funny in the beginning. Visualization feels funny in the beginning. It feels silly in the beginning. It feels stupid. There's so many words that you can put to it. But there's so much science behind it. And I really encourage you, if you're in this moment going, man, I don't want to do that. I encourage you to kind of challenge yourself for this month and tap into something that maybe you're resistant to. Because typically when we're resistant to something, it's because we actually really need it and it's going to be beneficial for us. Next is breath work. And I'm going to do a breathwork practice with you guys real quick. We're just going to do a few breaths of it. I have to take my glasses off to do it because you're going to use your whole hand and basically your whole face. So you're going to take your right hand and you're going to put your right thumb on your right nostril. You're going to put your index and your middle finger on your forehead. And then you're going to put your ring finger on your left nostril. I want you to close your right nostril and breathe in through your left nostril. Hold your breath, close your left nostril with your ring finger, open your right nostril, and then breathe out through your right nostril. Now breathe in through your right nostril. Close your right nostril with your thumb, open your ring finger so your left nostril is open, and exhale. Breathe in. Close your left nostril, open your right nostril, and breathe out. Try to do everything through your nose, nothing through your mouth. Inhale through your right nostril. Close your right nostril, open your left nostril, and exhale. Inhale through your left nostril. Close with your ring finger, open your right nostril, and exhale. One more time. Inhale through your right nostril. Close, open your ring finger, and breathe out through your left nostril. This practice allows our brain to wake up. And so what happens, you might notice this now that I've said it, but sometimes when you're really creative, one side of your nostril is typically blocked. When you're creative, typically your left nostril is just not breathing quite as well as your right. When you're really in a logistical mindset, your right nostril is breathing more easily than your left. And so when you do this practice, it helps your creative and your logistical mind start to come together as one, and it wakes them both up, and it helps wake your brain up as a whole. So I want you to pay attention over the next couple of days. And if you're feeling really creative, that doesn't mean you can't breathe through one nostril. It just means if you plug one is much, much easier to breathe through than when you plug the other one. And if you're sick, that's a little hard to understand what's happening. But in general, this practice right here is a simple, easy breathwork practice that allows you to bring your brain to work in tandem as a whole, working more parts of your brain than you would if you didn't do that breathwork. Number 5 is rest. So it is really, really important that we're resting. And resting doesn't just mean sleeping like this little puppy sleeping with the mom. It's so cute. It doesn't mean just sleeping. It means actually taking time away from studying. This can be sitting in nature, reading a book, or falling asleep while you read the book. This could be on a beach doing some yoga practice. It could be going for a nature walk. It could be doing some meditation, anything that allows your brain just to like come down and relax. And a lot of people think rest is, oh, I'll rest after my exam. I'll rest later. It's not important for me to do it right now. I have to use every minute of every day possible to make sure I'm getting as much information in my brain as possible. Well, our brain is a muscle, and our brain needs a break to be able to absorb the information. It's the same thing if you're running for a marathon, or if you are trying to lift heavy weights, or any type of work of any other muscle group. We're not going to go and work our biceps every single day because that would destroy our biceps and they have no time to recover. We're not going to go and work our glutes every single day because we would be so sore we wouldn't be able to sit down and they would never have time to recover. Our brain is a muscle, and it is the same exact way. If we just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, we end up getting that brain fog, that brain fatigue, almost like that brain freeze feeling, except it's not a freezing feeling. It's like a pressure that happens because we put so much information into our brain that our brain is just like, it feels like it's going to push out of our forehead. Any of those signals mean we're doing too much and we need to rest. When we rest, our brain is able to actually pull all the information that we're putting into it and convert it into long-term memory much more easily than if we are not resting it. In general, our long-term memory doesn't happen. The conversion to long-term memory doesn't happen if we don't actually give our brain rest. So rest looks different for every single person, but the more you can rest, during this exam month, the better. And I know that feels stressful. And I know you're like, no, no, but I have to review. I have to do these things. I have to get everything in. I promise you, it sounds counterproductive, but the more you can rest, the better. Especially 2 weeks out from your exam, like stop putting anything new into your brain. Just be doing very light review. Do as much movement, whether that's yoga or hiking or whatever it is that you like for movement, like the movement that you like, and getting some rest. And if you can go get a massage, go do that. Something that just feels like a treat for you. The more you can do that, it sounds counterproductive. It sounds like you're not being productive when it comes to a study sense. But the more you can do that, the more your brain is actually going to be functioning in a more optimal way. So let's just do a quick recap. Today, we learned how to engage in active review, doing tailored strategies for your learning style and for your exam. We talked about how to nourish your brain with the right foods for peak performance. We talked about how to move so we can boost our brain function and our focus. We talked about cultivating a positive mindset, visualizing success to stay confident and to stay motivated. And we talked about how to prioritize rest so we can have our memory consolidate into long-term memory and we can have mental clarity for our exam.